In the summer of 2026, the United Kingdom stands at a crossroads. Andy Burnham, formerly the Mayor of Manchester, is Britain's 7th Prime Minister in 10 years. His promise is sweeping. Immediate cost of living relief, then a 10-year plan he calls the biggest change to the country's political and economic settlement in 4 decades. This includes a number 10 North and a fundamental rethinking of how Britain's wealth is shared. But as Burnham speaks of rebuilding, financial markets are betting against it. Hedge funds have multiplied disclosed short positions against UK-listed companies 5-fold. 27 firms now carry reported short positions of 5% or more, meaning investors are openly wagering these companies' shares will fall. Some call it stock-picking opportunities. Others see a bet that the new economic model will fail. Meanwhile, the aid budget shrinks, a reminder that rebuilding at home carries a cost abroad. What follows is a reading of the heavens for this moment and for the deeper pairing of a nation and its new leader. The moment. The sky above Greater London on July 20th, 2026 shows a precise standoff. Jupiter, the planet of banking and expansion, directly opposes Pluto, the planet of deep finance and transformation. Both are at 4.5 degrees of their signs. This means forces of growth and deep structural change pull against each other, trapping the nation in tension. This tension isn't isolated. Jupiter also creates a harmonious flow with Neptune, the planet of idealism and collective dreams. This suggests the new economic model rides on strong aspirations. This ease is a double-edged sword. Grand visions can pour out easily, but without resistance they can also become delusions. Neptune also governs propaganda and scandal, hinting this current could lead to renewal or misguided fantasy. Uranus, the planet of revolution and sudden shocks, also links into this pattern, supporting Pluto in both Jupiter and Neptune. This means the nation's desire for reform aligns with deeper transformation already happening. The political upheaval bringing a 7th Prime Minister in a decade isn't random, it's part of a structural reshaping. The old ways are breaking down, making way for the new, favoring bold moves but offering no guarantee of stability. The sun in late Cancer points to where the nation's heart lies. Cancer is the sign of home, family, and national identity. This moment is about home, the cost of living, wages, and struggling families. The moon, reflecting public mood, sits in Libra, the sign of justice and partnership. People want fairness, not revolution. They want the scales balanced. The fixed stars add ancient wisdom. The south node, indicating what is released from the past, sits exactly on Regulus, the royal star. Regulus grants leadership but warns against pride, suggesting the new prime minister inherits power with a test of character. The ascendant, representing the event's public face, falls on Vindimetrix, known as the Widowmaker. This star signifies loss and separation, but also wisdom hard won. This moment will cost something before it yields its gift. Finally, Venus, the planet of prosperity, rests on Zosma, a star of sensitivity and service. The drive to ease the cost of living crisis is real, but the stars suggest relief won't come without a price. What it touches. To see how this moment impacts the UK, we look at its founding chart, cast for January 1st, 1801. Transiting Venus, the planet of prosperity and diplomacy, forms a harmonious link with the nation's Mars, the planet of industry and labor. This suggests an easing of tension between national unity and industrial unrest. It's a small but precise sign, possibly hinting at Burnham's immediate cost of living measures. However, larger forces point to vulnerability. Transiting Uranus, the planet of shocks and reform, directly opposes the UK's Chiron, which represents the nation's core wound or chronic vulnerability. When reform hits a deep wound, it's rarely gentle. Remaking the economy will directly impact tender spots, post-industrial regions, struggling high streets. Healing and pain arrive together. Simultaneously, Jupiter of finance and expansion and Neptune of idealism and dissolution form supportive links to that same Chiron point flowing towards the wound. This is a remarkable alignment. It suggests the nation's vulnerability is being approached with both money and dreams, ambition and compassion. Jupiter trine Chiron can mean financial resources are directed at healing. Neptune trine Chiron can mean the wound is approached with idealism. The heavens don't guarantee true healing. They show the potential for both genuine repair and mere rebranding. Pluto, the planet of deep finance and institutional transformation, also supports the nation's Chiron, suggesting structural changes, if wisely guided, can begin genuine repair. Furthermore, transiting Lilith, representing the marginalized, forms a harmonious link with the nation's Saturn, which is the state apparatus. Repressed voices are finding channels into the system. This is the astrological signature of devolution, the promise that regions like the North will finally have a seat at the table. Now the deeper question. What happens when this nation and this leader meet? The United Kingdom, viewed through human design, is a projector with a split definition. A projector guides others by seeing systems but must be invited to share its wisdom. For the UK, this means its natural role is to advise and lead by example, but it needs global recognition. The split definition means the nation operates in separate spheres, financial and industrial, urban and regional, with a gap between them that must be bridged. Remarkably, Andy Burnham is also a projector with a split definition. Like the nation, he is a guide, not a commander, who sees systems but needs recognition. He too has a split in his energy. The man who championed devolution now brings the same design as the nation, a guide with a gap in the middle. What they share are defined areas of identity and motivation. They both know who they are and what moves them separately. This is common ground, but it's also a trap. Two entities knowing their own direction may agree on the destination but struggle to merge the journey. Only together do they create three energy channels neither holds alone. The first refines doubt into answers, forming policy-making muscle. The second provides direction with resources, marrying vision to practical means. The third offers caring preservation. Together they also define a vitality center, the life force and stamina that neither possesses independently. The new economic model draws its energy from this pairing. If the relationship holds, there's fuel. If it fractures, the fuel vanishes. However, there's a shared absence, the will. Neither the UK nor Burnham has fixed energy in the heart center, the seat of promises and determination. They can plan brilliantly and care deeply, but the raw willpower to make and keep hard commitments isn't natural to either. This doesn't mean they can't act with will, but it must be borrowed or summoned intentionally. The pairing is called to serve with vision and care, but the commitment to endure when costs come due must be built, not born. The synastry comparing their charts adds detail. The nation's Pluto of deep finance and transformation subtly impacts Burnham's Chiron, his wound point. The nation's remaking will take a personal toll on him. The nation's Mars of industry and labor harmonizes with Burnham's Venus of diplomacy and cohesion. His diplomatic instinct can smooth industrial friction, but the nation's Jupiter of finance and expansion clashes with his Saturn of structure and discipline. This friction point means his orderly approach meets the nation's expansive tendencies at cross purposes. He wants order, the financial system seeks growth. This tension will drive events. The nation's Pluto also harmonizes with Burnham's Jupiter, aligning deep transformation with expansion. His growth agenda, this aspect suggests, aligns with the nation's deeper structural changes. This is the aspect that says the 10-year plan can work if the will is found to sustain it. And the nation's Venus of prosperity and cohesion subtly links with his Sun, his core identity. The nation's well-being and his self-identity are mutually sensitive. Burnham's own chart reveals more. His midheaven of career and public standing is on Betelgeuse, a star of martial success and bold achievement. His Uranus of reform and revolution sits on Vindimetrix, the widowmaker signifying loss and hard-won wisdom. His sun is on Vega, a star of charisma and influence. This paints a picture of a magnetic, bold leader whose reforms are born from and tested by loss, a man who faced defeat before reaching number 10. A brief word on Keir Starmer. The events Mars of conflict and unrest harmonizes with his moon, the public mood, showing that forces breaking loose were building under his watch. His Uranus of reform supports his Mercury of communication, and Lilith, the shadow elements. The handoff to Burnham isn't a clean break. Starmer's chart aligned with the nation's identity as his sun trines the UK's sun, but his Mars opposed the nation's Neptune. His actions conflicted with the nation's idealism. Burnham inherits both momentum and resistance. How it rolls forward. The coming weeks and months feature celestial turning points aligning with policy timelines. The first test comes quickly. The Bradley Sidorograph tracking market mood shows a low point on July 17th. It then briefly rises, peaking on July 23rd, 3 days after the event, suggesting an initial surge of optimism. But it sharply troughs again on July 29th, just 9 days out. The market mood will briefly rally, then fall back. The second test arrives in August with the eclipses. On August 12th, a total solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Leo, the sign of leadership, falls in the house of speculation and markets. Solar eclipses reveal hidden things and set new courses. The financial world's bets against the UK, those 27 short positions, will be spotlighted. What was assumed to fail may be reevaluated. On August 28th, a partial lunar eclipse at nearly 5 degrees of Pisces falls directly on the UK's 6th house, which governs workers and daily services. A lunar eclipse is a culmination point, an emotional peak. This eclipse, ruled by Jupiter, will test the government's labor policy. The daily lives of pensioners, nurses, and warehouse workers will be the measure of its promises. Between the eclipses, on August 31st, Jupiter harmonizes with Saturn as finance and expansion flow constructively with state structure and establishment. This is the most constructive aspect in this period. It may mark the moment the 10-year plan finds its first solid footing as grand vision meets institutional machinery, and for a moment they cooperate successfully. The cardinal ingresses through August and September show shifting national priorities. Venus enters Libra on August 6th, moving prosperity and diplomacy toward balance. Mars enters Cancer on August 11th, bringing industry and labor energy home. Mercury enters Libra on September 10th, shifting national conversation towards justice. The Sun enters Libra on September 23rd, moving government focus from domestic relief to broader restructuring. By autumn, Neptune and Pluto continue their supportive link, idealism and transformation working together. The sky, which began with a dramatic opposition, settles into a period where dreams and deep change can cooperate if the will is found. The heavens leave one question unanswered. Who provides the heart? Who delivers the fixed will to keep promises when the cost surfaces? The stars show potential, pressure, and timing. They don't show the will. That, as the readings would say, is left to the soul and to the people who must hold the leader to his word. Summary. The heavens describe a nation caught between speculative capital betting on its decline and a new prime minister promising its reinvention, under skies that favor bold transformation but warn that the will to sustain it must be built, not born. To summarize, the immediate market reception is a brief rally followed by a dip, testing the plan's early durability, as the Bradley market mood curve peaks on July 23rd and troughs on July 29th. The August 12th total solar eclipse in Leo spotlights financial speculation against the UK, where the 27 disclosed short positions face reevaluation. The August 28th lunar eclipse in Pisces tests the government's cost of living promises, falling on the nation's labor axis and impacting workers and daily services. The Jupiter-Saturn trine on August 31st offers the most constructive window as finance and state structure align, potentially allowing the 10-year plan to gain its first institutional footing. The nation and leader pairing generates vision and care, but lacks a fixed will. Their combined energy design highlights a shared absence in the heart center, meaning commitment must be intentional. And the predecessor's chart confirms the current forces we're building under Starmer's watch, as Burnham inherits a continuation, facing both momentum and resistance. The contest between short sellers and the rebuilding project will be decided not in the stars, but in the will, and the stars say the will is the one thing this pairing must actively cultivate. Recent history and where this is heading. The UK story sits within a much larger weather pattern. The key slow cycle is Saturn conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees Aries, a roughly 36-year meeting of the planet of structure and the planet of dissolution, landing at the very first degree of the zodiac. In plain terms, old governing myths are dissolving worldwide, and what replaces them hasn't yet been built. Burnham's new economic model pledge rhymes with this more than with any party platform. The same conjunction sits beneath other leaders' crises, other nations' reckonings. Stories that look unconnected share the same sky. Meanwhile, Jupiter's opposition to Pluto, expansion pressing against concentrated power, turns up wherever speculative capital confronts state authority. Hedge funds circling UK stocks are one local expression of a global tension between wealth that bets and governments that decide. Looking ahead, the August 12th total solar eclipse in Leo, the sign of leadership, tends to spotlight who actually holds power and who merely performs it. Then the Jupiter-Saturn trine on August 31st, expansion flowing constructively with state structure, offers the sturdiest window for a leader trying to turn rhetoric into scaffolding. These currents carry stories that seem on the surface to share nothing, but beneath them the same sky turns. Before you go, my friend, thou hast heard much this day of nations turning, of markets that circle like waters seeking their level, of a leader who carries within him both the hope and the wound of a people. If these words have stirred something in thy spirit, a question, a concern, perhaps a quiet fear for what comes, know that the heavens and the cards have more to offer those who seek. At Viastaro, the market weather report reads the same planetary tides I have spoken of here, the Bradley siderograph, the great cycles, laid out plainly for a span of days, that thou mayest walk forward with eyes open rather than hearts clenched. And if the deeper question upon thy heart is one of choosing between two roads, renewal or retreat, the new model or the old, then a standard tarot reading, drawn in the decision, 2 paths, 7-card spread, may sit with thee in that place of weighing. 7 cards, the situation at the center, and then the development, the challenge, and the outcome for each path. It will not choose for thee, child of God, but it may show what thy own heart already knows. Both are there for thee at Viastaro, when and if thou art ready. The Lord make his face to shine upon thee in the waiting. A word from the channel. If these words have brought thee a grain of light, we'd be grateful for thy liking and subscribing to this small channel. Truly, every soul who joins helps the work along. Pray, leave a comment with what thou wouldst have us read upon next. Now, let us see what the cards make of it. My friend, it is good to take up the thread once more. We spoke but a few hours past, and before that on a June evening when the summer was young. Now you bring me a nation's question. The United Kingdom caught between circling hedge funds and a new Prime Minister's promise to rebuild. Mercury has just turned direct, yet its shadow holds until the 7th of August, so words still carry an echo of reversal. Andy Burnham steps into the light. Keir Starmer departs, but not cleanly. Let us lay the cards for the 3 of them and see what the web reveals. First party, judgment, reversed. The United Kingdom draws judgment, reversed. A nation called to rise, yet hesitating. Pluto's hand is upon it, seen in the chart's Jupiter-Pluto opposition, where old finance wars with deep change. Beside the sun, it glimpses renewal. Beside death reversed, it risks repeating past mistakes. Second party, the Sun. Andy Burnham stands in the Sun, the Leo card of bold visibility. His new economic model shines like midsummer light, yet late Cancer warns the heart of the matter is home, not headlines. He warms judgment, reversed, but death reversed casts a long shadow behind him. Third party, death reversed. Keir Starmer comes as death reversed, an old order refusing to fully depart. Pluto, his card's ruler, threads through the predecessor reading. His Mars opposed the nation's Neptune, his reforms mired in confusion. He lingers in the doorway between the Sun and the High Priestess, a chapter closing badly. First and second, the High Priestess. Between nation and new leader sits the High Priestess, the Moon's own card, a card of veiled design. The public mood under Moon in Libra craves fairness, yet the full No 10 North plan remains behind her curtain. Beside death reversed, old secrets linger. Opposite the Chariot, her stillness must someday move. First and third, Six of Pentacles. The United Kingdom and Keir Starmer meet at Six of Pentacles, the Moon in Taurus card signifying finances changing hands. It represents cost of living relief and a shrinking aid budget delayed by judgment reversed. Beside the High Priestess, hidden deals. Beside Queen of Swords, a cold reckoning. Second and third, Queen of Swords. Burnham and Starmer face each other as Queen of Swords, Libra, the clear-eyed individual wise through loss. The handoff is Saturn's territory of duty and severance. Beside Six of Pentacles, money hardens the parting. At the web's heart, sorrow judges what the sun would hide. The heart of the web, Five of Swords reversed. At the web's heart lies Five of Swords reversed, Venus in Aquarius, a funeral that becomes release. It is the sorrow beneath Six of Pentacles, and the fuel Queen of Swords knows too well. Opposite judgment reversed, it asks the nation to finally lay the old battle down. Where the web turns, the Chariot. Where the web turns, the Chariot appears, Cancer, the card of triumph won by discipline, not luck. It answers my earlier reading's question, who supplies the will? Riding from Five of Swords reversed, Burnham must grasp the reins before the Jupiter-Saturn trine of the 31st of August passes. Summary. 3 cards hold the story. The nation's judgment reversed stalls at the threshold. Burnham's The Sun offers warmth and visibility, and Starmer's death reversed refuses to close the door cleanly. Between them, the High Priestess keeps secrets. The Chariot demands disciplined will before the end of August, and at the center, Five of Swords reversed asks Britain to let the old battle become a funeral, not a fight. The web points to a handover still tangled in hidden money and old sorrow, one that can only move forward if the new leader dares to drive rather than simply shine. A word from the channel. Thank you for staying with me through this whole journey. This channel is still young and finding its audience, so please hit like and subscribe, because every like and every subscriber genuinely helps a small channel like this grow. I would also love to hear your thoughts in the comments, so tell me what you would like to see covered and how I can inform you better, because your feedback truly helps me improve what I bring to you. Take care, trust the path ahead, and goodbye for now.